I'm going to show you how to make a basic query in the WHI Query Builder. This is the welcome screen. It's also the login screen. I'll go ahead and sign in. And here's the query list screen. It shows the queries that I've created previously. I'll go ahead and create a new query. Here's my new query. It doesn't do much at this point. In order to limit the number of participants it returns, I have to add some criteria. So here's the current criteria menu. Got WHI and ancillary study participation, some basic demographics, adjudicated and self-reported outcomes, specimen availability, and specimen result options. And we'll be adding to this menu over time. So let's go ahead and add a WHI participation criteria. Now here's the WHI participation criteria screen. This criteria screen lets you select clinical trial and observational study participation, clinical trial arms. Here we've got some options for the extension participation, and finally some of the common cohorts and subsamples available in the Women's Health Initiative. Now, some of the common features in these criteria screens. First is this gray box. This holds the description of the criteria. So as I make selections, for example, if I require participation in the hormone trial, and let's say that I want to exclude those women that are also in the diet trial. So now you can see from the description, the participant was in the hormone trial and was not in the diet trial. This description is important so that you understand how the system is interpreting the selections you make. Up here is a help button. If you click this, it opens up the help pages. This is help page for this particular screen. It not only shows you how to use the criteria screen, but also has some links to handy background information from the WHI.org website that pertain to this criteria. I also want to point out over here on the left is a link to the Query Builder homepage. You've got some tutorials, frequently asked questions, some handy background links from the WHI.org website, and then links to the specific help pages. So let me go ahead and close this help page and go back to our query. Okay, I'm going to change this back to just the hormone trial participants. I also want to point out this negate button. If you click this, the criteria returns the opposite of what it normally does. So now we're going to get participants that are not in the hormone trial. Okay, let's go ahead and save this. Our query executes, and now we get 27,000 participants. Let's go ahead and add some more criteria. We'll go to adjudicated outcomes. Now this is a list style criteria screen. There are several of these screens that have this format. These column headings are sortable. If you click it once, it sorts in ascending order. Click again and it sorts in descending order. Also over here, this little search box, as you start typing, it limits the list to those items that have the text that you just typed in. So let's go ahead and select coronary artery bypass graft, or CABG, procedure, and CHD. So now from the description we can see we're getting participant has any of these outcomes, CABG or CHD. Go ahead and save that. And now we get 2,300 participants. Notice that the list criteria screen defaults to OR, so we're getting participants that have any of these outcomes, CABG or CHD. If I wanted to find participants that had both of those outcomes, I could add this criteria twice, once for CABG and then once for CHD. So let's go ahead and edit this one. And you can edit these criteria just by clicking on the title. I'll do my search again. And we'll make this one just CABG. And then we'll add the criteria again. For CHD. Now we get participants that were in the hormone trial, have an outcome of CABG, and have an outcome of CHD. We get 276 participants that match that set of criteria. Let me point out some of the features of this screen. First of all, I've already mentioned you can edit criteria by clicking on the title. Over here, we've got an Enable Disable button. If I select that, it temporarily turns off that criteria. And this is handy for seeing how many participants are being eliminated by a particular criteria. And finally over here, we've got delete criteria if you'd like to just get rid of a criteria. And up here, we've got the reports menu. Again, we'll be adding to this menu over time. Let me run the race ethnicity report. This report runs for your query. Here it shows the number of participants returned by your query and the criteria of that. So if you're printing this report out, you can have a reference as to what your query selections were. These column headings, also sortable. And finally, this download link, you click on that. It creates a file of the data of the report in a comma delimited format. And at least on my computer, when I click on that, it brings up Excel, and I can save this or do other sums, etc. These are called breadcrumbs. This is a handy way to navigate through the system. If you click on this link, it takes you back to your query, and if you click on this link, it'll take you back to the query list screen, and you can see here's the query that we just added. I'll point out one more quick feature. If you'd like to name your query rather than it just being this number, you can go up into the menu and click Rename and give it a custom name. Also, there are some more advanced features for creating complex queries that I'll show you in another video tutorial. First of all, you can merge two queries together, and there are various options as to how you can combine those queries. Also, there's a way to combine some of these criteria using ORs rather than ANDs. And again, I'll show you how to use these features in another tutorial.